Well, welcome everybody, and we're almost at our technology thing. We're going to work on it today, so if there's any glitches, blame it on Annalene. No. Now, who do we blame it on, Annalene?
Cleese.
She's seizing right now.
Oh yeah, Cleese. She's operating all this.
She deserted it.
All right. Well, anyways, we're working towards it. As you can see, this is my tablet is here yet. We don't have our tablets yet, so I'm still on paper. So we're going to go from there.
But apparently they're in.
So welcome, and we're already in open, so motion to convene, okay, motion, minutes of the previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Anderson, that the minutes of the June 16, 2015 council meeting be approved. All in favor? Questions, concerns? I could send that down to Jean, she gets to sign it for me.
Oh, do I not sign that one?
That's all right.
This one.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner and second by Councillor Elliott that the Town of Minto Council convenes in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Okay. We following that all right?
Well, we switched it, but this should be in
my order.
items now.
Additional items as other business. Ron has one. And I think Judy has one.
Ronnie.
Anybody else so far? Nothing? Okay. All right.
Ron B, that's right.
Okay, now we're into delegations.
Delegations. And we have a delegation. We have Allison. There's Allison right there from North Wellington Coalition for Youth Resiliency. Boy, that's hard to say. Resiliency. It is.
Yes, me too. Don't worry.
That's all right. And welcome, Allison. And you have sent us something. We've sort of got that here.
Yeah, just a brief little background.
Yep. And we'll just turn it over to you. And
Perfect. So as mentioned, I'm Allison Daisy, and I'm here on behalf of the North Wellington Coalition for Youth Resiliency. So I'm here today to provide you with an update about our event that we had in February. You may remember now that I was here in January as well to inform you guys about that community forum. So we were very excited to kind of share how that went. And in February, the goal of the day was to identify key action items that need to be focused on in order to make North Wellington a more youth-engaged area rooted in positive youth development. So by the end of the day, we were able to break down into 5 key priority areas. And on that day, we had about 45 or just over 45 people in attendance. And it was a combination of people from all 3 areas, as well as youth. There was some council representation, as well as service providers and parents in the community. So we had a really good demographic of people in that room to give us a well-rounded list of priorities. And I know you have them there in front of you. The first one is increase awareness of programs and resources available. And this one was looking at more of a kind of communication-wise. The other one was creating a youth council, which would be focusing on youth engagement. Our third one was increasing accessibility of programs, and that would be looking at transportation, cost, and location. The fourth one was increasing intergenerational interaction and relationships. And this was to kind of build the mutual cultural respect between the adults and the youth in the community. And our fifth one was removing barriers and finding ways to increase collaboration. And this one, which we are in the process of developing, is going to be our community group, which we are going to name North for Youth. And it will be a community collaboration group that will really kind of work on moving the rest of these target items forward. What I'm here to talk to you about today is number 2, creating a youth council. So it's now my job to start pulling all of the loose ends together and starting to make some of these action items happen. So the task that I am is the Youth Council. A Youth Action Council is a formal board of young people that provide representation or a voice for the youth in the community. Councils facilitate the involvement of young people in local governance and decision making. Our communities felt that this was the best approach to give youth a platform to express their needs and address their concerns while doing so in a fun and engaging way. It was decided that each of the 3 townships, and I should mention when I say it was based on that February 21st date to clarify. It was decided that each of the 3 townships that make up North Wellington would host their own individual youth council. Those in the room felt that it would be most successful by running these youth councils through the municipalities. So many people didn't feel we were at a place yet with regards to transportation and other battles and resources to make it one youth council. So it was decided that 3 would be a best option for that. This would also ensure long-term sustainability and provide civic-minded community connection for youth by running them through municipalities. Starting up 3 new youth councils is a very large task, and in order to combat that, we are staggering the start dates for each of the councils. Mapleton Township has already agreed, and they will be leading the pack, and they will be starting this September with a youth council. Their council has approved that, and our hopes are that the remaining 2 councils, if on board, would roll out in early winter and late winter. Working with young people is a very rewarding partnership, but is also a partnership that needs consistency, commitment, and trust. So my role is a contract position, and it's spread out throughout North Wellington. And while I would love to be the coordinator for each and every one of these youth councils, it's not feasible for my role to be that support. What I'm offering is the support in the formation of the youth councils, and what we're hoping for is to get the adult ally support coming from the town of Minto to actually facilitate and run the councils. After numerous discussions with other youth councils, both rural and urban, it has been best suggested that it is a municipal staff member that would run the councils. This would then ensure that they are run through municipality, and it covers any liabilities, and it has a contact person that is working regularly if there were any issues that were to arise. It's been estimated that it's between an average of 2 to 5 hours a week for this staff person to run a youth council, based on maybe what events would be happening that week, or if it was just a simple meeting. Most of the youth councils I talked to operated on a weekly basis, but that being said, we can shape them however. The smaller rural ones started at about bi-weekly and then would pick up from there. Some of the administrative tasks that would need to be handled would be tracking youth volunteer hours, handling problems that may arise as you are working with young people, monitoring financial responsibilities, being a point of communication, and securing meeting locations. So a lot of those administrative tasks, the majority of the work is done by the youth themselves, so it's not that much would be added on to a staff member's role. We thought it would also be beneficial to alleviate some of those responsibilities by looking for an adult volunteer within the community as well that would help facilitate some of that work. But we just know that it would have to be ideally in partnership, because that would be a lot of work for a volunteer to take on to be that dedicated contact person. Youth councils also require a very limited budget, but a budget nonetheless, which would cover meeting supplies, promotional material, and some event supplies. For the most part, youth councils look for outside donations and partnerships with different organizations when they're trying to run events. So some will do things with Optimist clubs, Lions clubs, different service organizations if they're looking at running specific events. As this idea kind of comes mid-year and budgets are already firmed up and stretched thin, the North Wellington Coalition for Youth Resiliency is able to provide startup funds to cover that initial advertising, location costs, or anything that may arise from those initial, but it would not be sustainable for us to cover them moving on forward in the years to come. So I guess to kind of recap, my request today is 2 parts. The first part would be the question of, is the town of Minto interested in developing a youth council with the North Wellington Coalition for Youth Resiliency? And then the second part of my request, if that first answer is yes, would be to have further conversations with staff or council to start planning how we could make this happen in Minto. Specifically looking at what staff resources would be available and the financial contributions down the line. I'm here today to kind of give you guys proper notice, first of all. Obviously, this is not something we're looking at doing until the colder months, but I've already been presenting to Mapleton, so I wanted to make sure I approached each councils around the same time so that the message got through from me and not a long game of telephone. If we were to move ahead of the planning, like I said, it would not be until fall. It'd be after the summer months that we'd have to start kind of looking at some of these things. It's often been said that the measure of a society's health is how well it takes care of its younger generation, and what I'm proposing today are efforts to help work towards really engaging our youth in the community, especially here in Minto. So that's it for me. I open it for
you
questions.
have some questions? Mary Lou, and then
I just wondered, I'm not, I think the municipality is a wonderful source, but I'm wondering about Norwell. Would it not make more sense for the high school to be heavily involved in this, or no?
You would get partnerships from the high, like you'd get youth coming from the high schools, but generally a lot of the schools have their own student councils that are kind of specifically focused on their activities within the school. The youth councils that I reached out to, none of them were associated with the high school. It could be, I don't have a specific reason as to why. I would think it could be some hurdles with school boards and running it through there. The point of these kind of youth councils is to really give the voice to the youth within their community and having them have that connection to council. And they work almost as an arm's length advisory group, so council has that ability to reach out to young people and ask them questions. It's definitely a thought process we could think about. I've just never seen it explored that way with regards to a youth council representing a township.
Thank you, Mayor Burridge. Allison, youth is 19 and younger, basically, or is there an age that you're shooting for?
Yeah, through you, it's we're working 12 to 24.
Okay.
For
what I
the
thought.
youth councils, we would stick it 14 to 24 to keep it high school range, and then open it up for older youth. Generally, you do get mainly high school youth that would come on board and do it. But that being said, there are some that will get older youth that will come and do stuff to get the experience and build resume skills.
So how do you see it working? Would you, like, so we've got 3 centers plus the township.
Mm-hmm.
It's-
So, sorry,
Sorry,
I
you
didn't
go
cut
ahead.
you off.
Go ahead.
It would ideally be one location, and then they would kind of come into that location. Transportation is obviously going to be a little bit of an issue in the beginning, and I reached out to Wilmot Township. They are kind of similar in the sense of battling a lot of those rural issues, and what they found works best is that they've developed, when they have their first kind of meetings or when they have interest, they see where youth are coming from and work on kind of having youth carpool together and find ways in that way. And then they picked a meeting spot based on where the majority of the youth were coming from for interest's sake. So that would be kind of a logistical thing to work out.
Thank you.
Ron, and then Jean.
Just, I kind of missed something, and maybe I wasn't paying attention. I kind of would like to know what a mission or what goals would you, I see what you have written here, or a typical agenda for those people that would come. Would they be raising funds for?
Yeah, it's a very
what-
good question.
What kind of a program would be involved in this?
I can give you best examples based on the other councils I've spoken to. It's going to be a shade of gray answer because it's developed by the youth. So they can come together and they may say, and a lot of youth councils start with planning more events for the youth and finding ways to get their name out there. And a lot of those kind of quick win activities that get youth on board and invested. And then once you kind of have those youth on board, then it turns into, let's start talking about more things we'd like to see in our community for young people. Or let's find issues that we want to address in our community. And let's say council's working on a certain issue. The youth may also want to talk about it from a youth perspective at their own meeting. The meetings are generally, they have chairs and they are the young people. They'll have minute takers, those that lead the meetings. Each meeting is different. They have to be structured a little less informal or you're not going to get that same attention and feedback. Some councils that I've spoken to, they work on specific program planning for a youth resource guide. And they thought that whatever they identified in that issue, and I'll use Kitchener as the example because I spoke with them, the youth found that there wasn't a good enough resource for the young people to navigate what to do in their area with regards to if you needed social service, if you needed, so that there was a little subgroup of that youth council that worked towards developing a resource guide for young people. So they've kind of identified what their needs were. So I can't lay out specifically, but some will do something as simple as planning youth movie night. Start with those more, I don't want to say superficial events, but some of those bigger ones to get the young people in, let them know what's going on, get them having fun, and then you can kind of start working
Let
towards.
the youth tell us what they're missing.
And then they will start discussing, and then you open that forum for discussion when you're in that comfortable environment. Absolutely.
Okay, Jean?
I have a couple of questions. Like Mary Lou, I wondered about the high school involvement, but do you find that the kids that are coming out, are they attending school, or are they mostly children who are not attending school or have completed school and are sort of loose ends because they've not got a career choice clearly mapped out, or?
Coming out specifically to me?
No, to the groups, to the societies, the
To the
people who
council.
are involved in the councils.
Oh, the other youth councils, yes. It is a variety of different youth, the ones I've been to. Some of them you will get, actually it was kind of funny, the one council that I spoke to, they found that it was a lot of quieter kids because they found it was a less intimidating environment because it's not the same kids at your school. So all the same kids sit on student council, all the same kids sit on the equity club and whatnot. And they found that they would kind of get more of an odd bunch. And then they found that when they were in these meeting groups that those kind of barriers broke down. And they did have, I can't say for a fact where the majority of the population was coming from. Some were your overengaged ones that were just looking for more opportunities, and others were ones that didn't necessarily find a role within the school community, so they were able to kind of do this outside of the school community. which now that I'm kind of thinking might be a benefit to not having it fully connected to the school community, because then you're avoiding getting those exact same kids who are constantly involved in the Norwell
And
population.
you're restricting it the way that you're talking.
Yeah, sorry to interject.
In one of the comments, you talked about tracking volunteer hours. Are we referring to volunteer hours for the students? Is this a method for them to get their volunteer hours
Yeah, absolutely.
in? And therefore, I don't understand the disconnect with the school, because it's a school-driven project. Well, it's an Ontario government project, but it's directed through the school, and I wonder about a connection when they look at all the co-op programs, which are really good opportunities for kids. Kind of wondering if there wouldn't be a good tie-in there to sort of lead them into further paths, like you could really explore this and tie it in. But you would benefit from being connected to the school with that because I find the volunteer program, well, it's a great idea to get them volunteer. They volunteer, we're not engaging them, they're not staying. They just are doing it to get their 40 hours in. It would be so much better if you connect it with their career programs and the guidance department, so that you take those 40 hours, you get them into, like you do a bit more in-depth, where would you like to go, where are you hoping to go, and we would sort of map it together, right? And I think there's a big disconnect there. They don't know what to do. They're not sure what they want to do. They simply put the hours in with anybody who will take them. And then we don't get to retain them as volunteers because it wasn't their primary interest. They just did it to get the hours. And we really need them as volunteers. So I'm thinking you need to look at a bigger connection, at least with the guidance department at the school, if not anywhere else, so that we could look at career choices and sort of help them stream that way or explore it before they get into, the kids who are on their third degree because they still don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
I think the co-op programs are marvelous that way. They at least get to see a workplace and work with them and find out, I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing this.
Absolutely. And if I can kind of comment on that, the beauty of these youth councils is that we can shape and create it however we see best for Minto or however we saw best. They don't all have to be a cookie cutter exact same youth council. I will point out, though, that the ones I'm more familiar with Kitchener because I did volunteer with theirs. The youth put in way over 40 hours in a one-year school session, and some youth were serving onwards of 3 and 4 years. So it's different in that sense. They're coming out because it's on an evening, so you're not just kind of coming out for the sake of I need to attend this. It's a weekly commitment, and there will be the youth who come and go. They show up, I don't like this, out the door they go. But what they found in between the Guelph one as well is that you do get a lot of the same faces every time, and you're getting the siblings coming in. So I get what you're saying about maybe having that bigger connection towards.
Like if we can get them engaged, let's drive it forward.
We have an
and see if it
opportunity, we
leads
have
to a
that
career
platform.
path. I'd like to see those 40 hours be more valuable for the kids, not just something I have to do.
Yes.
Something that will lead me into something that I'm interested in doing.
And I would say that these youth councils, generally how they've worked in the past, it's youth who want to be there. It's not, I'm here because I only need my 40 hours. We're looking for specifically, and it's if they show up, they'll understand that this isn't for them because they have to do work at these things. It's not come hang out for an hour, eat pizza, and get home. Like they need to work through agenda items and things like that. So I'm hoping that we would get that caliber of youth.
Ron, and then
Alison, what would be the average size of the youth council? Like, is there a specific number of positions that people would apply for or work towards?
Generally, what has worked best is you kind of hold some general meetings in the beginning month and let youth come in, get familiar with each other. And then just like kind of other councils would work, you would kind of vote and nominate who would take on chair, who would take on minute keeper. The youth can develop as many roles as they would like to see. Some councils have someone who's director of, I think it was council relations, and it was their job was to build icebreaker games into every day so youth felt comfortable and finding ways to bring new youth in. It could be a board of 3, and then you have general members. So some youth councils, I believe Wilmot had 16 members that showed up, and with averaging 12 to 13, I think it was, per meeting. Guelph and Kitchener, I believe, have over 20 to 30 members that are sitting around. Whether or not those
same
ones,
people actually that sit on a council, because I picture the council as just like us with 7, and each one with specific tasks in order to develop the youth resiliency.
Yes. So this one would be, the way youth councils are developed is it's more so, I think you would use the word council a little bit more lightly in this sense. You have a room, you have your tables, you're welcome to come. They're drop-in, so we'd like to obviously have familiar faces. Sometimes someone will bring a new friend in. Other times they'll be registered, but there are those certain core roles that those ones will show up, and they will chair different subgroups.
I think maybe, Bill, what we could do is, I know Alison, you worked with some of our, I think with Matt and a few people in our departments already, and maybe through the summer. And Mapleton, how far along are they in Mapleton as
They just passed I was at their meeting last week, and they approved to now have conversations with staff to figure out a solution of who best to run
Well,
it.
I think we can do direction to that effect, and I think we should have some direction through the summer and sort of. I got the feeling there's no set cookie cutter to this. I mean, you'll have to sort of feel it out a little bit. There's sort of some structure, but at the end of the day, it'll be the youth themselves that'll develop the structure. Because if we develop the structure for them, they're not going to show up.
Exactly. So it has
I
kind of a rough.
when I was a youth, that was always seemed, that the ones that were less structured, that they end up bringing their own structure in, could end up being that. I, for one, and I know this council, and just hearing the council and listening to them, certainly we want youth to have a voice in our community. There's no doubt in our minds, and how we get around to it. I know we've been working, trying to get them on some of our committees and subcommittees. I want to bring a thing in September as well, to have a youth person sitting at this council table, that could discuss everything. The only thing they wouldn't have would be a vote, and we're working on that. Annalee and I are working on some structure there. So I can see this all working in nicely. I mean, I think we need to have that voice. And I like the fact that it's 14 to 24, and we are lucky right now, and the principal of the high school is very supportive on getting a lot of things done and getting youth involved. But I think we have to be careful that we don't, when we think of youth, we think of high school students. Well, they tend to leave. We have a lot of youth that are going to be 18, 19, 20, maybe some of them staying on the farm or whatever, and other jobs that they're staying at, but they're youth, and I think they have a different perspective of what they want the community to look like as well. So I'd like to keep them involved and get them involved as much as we can. So yeah, it's very good, and I think there's some really good meat to this, and so if we can do that, and we'll, thanks for coming tonight, and we'll do that. Bill?
Yeah, Mayor Bridge, could we have maybe a motion
Sure.
for staff to report back on forming a youth council?
In September. Yep. By Jean, second by Judy. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Allison.
Okay. Very good. Public question period. Anybody got a question? Questions? Anybody got a question? Okay. There's one? I don't. You got a question?
Mr. Hewlett.
Mr. Hewlett? Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to come up, Gord, you have to be at the mic, so otherwise they won't hear you back in TV land, and I know. No, you have to be at this mic, unfortunately, for the TV thing.
My name's Gordon Hewlett.
Yes, sir.
Most of you know me.
Yep.
And I'm here today. I had submitted a letter to council regarding the intersection at Milton and Toronto Street.
Right.
And I've never heard anything back from the town. I don't want this to slide under the carpet. I want something done. And I've talked to Ron Elliott about it, and I would like to ensure that I'm kept in the picture as to what's going on, because I've got people in the subdivision that are asking me about what's happening. They know that I've sent the letter in with all the pictures of it, and I just want to make sure that I'm kept involved.
Yep. Bill?
Mayor Bridge, the letter came in and was received June 22nd. I've asked our Public Works Department and Triton Engineering to have a look at the alignments there so that we have some technical information. And I wanted to bring the letter back with some information. As soon as I had that information, I intended to get in touch with you. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not gone away. We're looking into it
because the town, if something isn't done, it's a real bad situation, and I don't know why they allowed the fence to be put there in the first place. Because when you have a line of sight, you should be able to look left or right, and it should be clear.
Yep.
This isn't the position down there, and I just want to make sure that it's done, because the town is going to be liable if something happens there and somebody's killed. And you know the way the lawyers work, and they're going to go after the town because the line of sight wasn't clear.
Well, we're hoping to have a report you're trying to have it on for the next council?
I'm hoping so. That information went to Triton last week.
And, you know, I can attend council or whatever and ensure, because I got to let the people in the subdivision know.
You can let them know that it's the technical people are looking into it and coming up with a recommendation for us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Gordon.
Great, thanks for coming, Gordon. Okay, all right. Correspondence received for information requiring direction of council. Did you want to speak to any of these?
Mayor Bridge, we need a motion to receive unless there's any items that council would like us to bring forward. There is a note on the first one. That's another letter about roadways that we have addressed that one.
Yeah, I was going to say that's been addressed, right?
Yes, so we put it on your agenda. It has been a couple of months on that one.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to accept. Councillor Turton, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor? Carried. Reports to committees and town staff matters tabled, motions which notice has been given. Committee minutes, James Way board meeting minutes of April 9th, 2015, and the board minutes of June the 11th, 2015. Any questions or concerns?
I would just point out on the April 9th meeting, they don't have my name on there. I was a couple minutes late, but I was in attendance.
You were there.
I was.
Okay, Jean.
We didn't adjust that.
Okay. All right. Well, with that adjustment, we have somebody moved by Councillor Deputy Mayor Faulkner, Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Carried. Committee minutes approval, Economic Development Planning Committee minutes. Belinda?
Alrighty, hello everybody.
Welcome.
So I'm just going to highlight some quick things in the minutes from our June 11th meeting. First off, we're still working away on getting our Palmerston Industrial Park sign, and that kind of depends on a few things. So we're working on getting the fiber optic installed in the park. Are you going to? Are you showing something? Okay.
Pictures? Have we got pictures?
Well, we do on the first page, I guess.
Let's get them up there. Okay, there they are.
Ooh.
Here. So
Quick.
CAO White and I met with Lori Noon, and they are going to allow us to put our industrial park sign on their property. So we're working through agreements for that, working with Triton and Whiteman on installing fiber optic in the industrial park, and we have almost all the letters signed for what needs to happen in there, and then looking at the issues with the parking, truck parking along that side of the road. So CAO White redesigned this layout. I don't know, Bill, if you want to say anything about that layout or?
Through you, Mayor Bridge, we're still awaiting to hear whether they're in support of the way this might work on the property, but it would mean going to one entrance that would offset directly with the Tim Hortons entrance. That gives you better turning movements on the street. And they were interested in trying to accommodate trucks on their property, so there is a little bit of an accommodation there, although, as I recall, and in discussion with Belinda, there is a fire hydrant nearby there, so we have to be cognizant of what's going on sort of in the ground there too. So we'll work with them on this, but the next step for us is to forward an agreement that we would negotiate as far as the terms for putting the sign on that property.
Yep.
And actually, I looked up the road here, Belinda, just a little farther on, because I saw the hydrant as well. But today I looked at it. We own that other piece of property just going up there.
We do.
Between Sarge, yeah, right now. So there might be an opportunity to put a couple truck parking spots up there.
Temporarily.
Temporarily, until we figure out what happens.
Sell it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I just noticed that the one driveway, they seem to have
They put a barrier up.
buried it off
Yep.
anyway, so it sounds like they're in agreement with what you're bringing forward. You have to go in the back driveway now, no trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were having some problems with people coming out of that driveway closer to the intersection, and then people turning quick. And
Right.
So they decided to block that off. And then moving on, so at the last council meeting, the community improvement plan came forward, and so that has now been sent off to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs for comments. So they don't have approval authority over our CIP, but they can send us back comments. And we have had lots of interest in our community improvement plan, and moving forward, there is lots of interest in the incentives that we're proposing. So excited to get that going, and they're hoping to have comments back so we can move it forward, I think, by our next meeting, perhaps. Digging it, downtown Hairston, big announcement yesterday. So that's great news. The project is moving along very well.
Ladies' Night is happening on July 29th, so the flyers are all ready for that. And we continue to have our update meetings with the businesses. Things are tickety-boo. Our committee last night met, approved banners, and are planning some sort of a grand opening celebration. So we're asking for the community's input into what they would like to see for a celebration. When we reopen the street, do they want to have family activities? Do they want to have a street dance? What does the community want to see? So we are going to be putting stuff out there via social media to hear back from the community on what types of events they'd like to see for us to open the street. And our committee will be meeting next week to try and finalize plans because we are ahead of schedule and need to get stuff out as soon as possible. The Chamber of Commerce hosting their summer barbecue. All of council is invited to that on August 12th and encouraged to RSVP to summer. Our BRNE Implementation Fund grant has gone into the county, so we requested $10,000 once again to support Launch at Minto's initiatives. We're having great success in delivering training and all that stuff. Summer will talk about that later. So we applied for that, and then $15,000 to go towards implementing our Come Home to Minto marketing campaign. So I think we're only the second municipality in the county to get our funding request in. We thanked Joel Coops, he was our manufacturing rep, for being on our committee. He has stepped back, he's joined another committee, so he can't be on everything. So we are looking for a manufacturing representative for our economic development group right now. And then another kind of exciting thing I wanted to make you aware of is EnerStore is hosting the Women of Renewable Energy group on August 4th. There's about 30 women coming out to this, but they have invited anyone here in the town of Minto to attend. So if you would like to attend this, I believe it's at 11 a.m. It starts. Please let me know so I can notify them of who is attending. But men are also welcome to come. And that, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Mary Lou.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I've just had 3 people question me this morning on yesterday's announcement. Was there a direct tie-in to the downtown?
Absolutely.
Okay, because they are, I just had 3 questions of what are you going to do with this grant money?
The water lines.
Going to bury it.
And and I said it's already spent. And I just wondered if that was a clear.
They were maybe confused because this grant will also allow us to go from the intersection of Elora Street and Arthur Street to Williams Street.
Williams.
As well.
Right.
Right, but it does include the whole project.
Downtown and
Yeah.
project.
Absolutely, yep.
So it's not that it's new money that is like found money that we have not.
Well, it is
spent
found
on.
money because
No, but
basically
yeah.
we wouldn't have had it. We didn't. I tried to explain that the other day, Mary Lou, and I think if for instance this grant didn't come through, then other projects would not have got done.
Exactly.
We would have taken all the money that we had for other projects and put it, because we had the project started. So it's allowing us to do numerous other projects as well. And
But I guess my point is that the grant application was for the specific project.
That's right.
We've received the money for that specific project.
Yes.
It's not for new projects that have not started.
No, we
Thank
just
you.
started, yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor Bridge, if I may just add to that, part of the issue, there's 2 issues that we had to deal with and are dealing with. The first is that the grant program wouldn't fund streetscapes, so we had to back out about 50 or 60,000 roughly of the grant for that. And the second part is that expenses incurred before June 19th are not covered either. So they've funded 44% of the 2.6 million roughly project, and we're grateful for that. And the expenses, because we had to get going and we want to finish as soon as possible, we'll lose out a little bit on the front end because we did incur some expenses. So we've met it with the county and we've figured out how to report on that to them so that we're accurate and fair.
Okay, thank you.
And just the other question I had was the time that it's going to get done. When is it going to get done between the lights and William?
If I may, the lights to William, based on my last conversation, was the current contractor will continue with that work, but it will begin after the Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, that's what
Be completed
I was correct.
before winter.
because he has other contracts he's doing as well.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
So the main thrust is to finish, hopefully, early August, the main street and get it open and back functioning, and then He has other commitments, so he'll come back, and I don't think it will be as long as the last project we had out that way. And it's mostly removing existing pavement. There are patches of sewer and water to fix there, but it's not going to be the long project that other one was.
And again, just thanks to Moorfield Excavating and Triton, they're making our job here very easy. We're only getting about 7 people out to our bi-weekly meetings, so that's a good thing. People aren't upset, or we'd have a lot more people, so they're making it easy for us. So
Yeah, I had a member of the public today that usually is fairly critical say to me today that he's quite amazed that he's talked to the merchants and that basically has heard very little of any complaints that are reasonable, and that we've done a good job of implementing the plan. And I think that was the big thing. And I said that yesterday at the dedication for the grants. How everybody's worked together. Yourself, Belinda, the Chamber of Commerce, the contractor, the Tritons, everything's merchants. They've really done a good job about keeping it as positive as you can. And I mean, you know, it's a big concern for everybody and a big problem, you know, breaking up a road like that and doing it. But it's done really fairly well, and I think everybody's been fairly good about it. The one thing about the grant, and you have to understand, and I said it yesterday, I mean, if you don't, I'm really excited at the fact that both the provincial and federal government have realized that we can't do infrastructure on property taxes, and that they've come through with this money. And unfortunately for us, a little bit of it is that it's a brand new program. And so there is some issues in getting it approved. It had to be approved at the provincial level first, and then it goes up to the federal level, and they're trying to do these joint programs together. And, you know, I think one member of the press asked me that yesterday and said, well, it's kind of late in the year and it is, I mean, for construction, late in the year to be getting money, but we're just glad we got it. And we're working around all the little problems. And at the end of the day, that's the way we're going to get things done in our community. And as I said the other day, 8% of the taxes are local taxes, and we have 60% of the infrastructure. So we get 8% of the actual tax dollars. So we need these groups, and I give everybody around your table back here, and Bill, yourself, a lot of credit for putting the good grant application together. Not everybody got the grants, so both we're lucky, both ourselves and Wellington North got grants, and I'm really pleased the fact that they were able to get that bridge finally fixed, because that was a big problem for them as well. And now we just got to get connecting links going, Lord, and get into that for next year. But it's all good. Thank you. Ron.
One thing, I see in the minutes that I mentioned the Script Cafe was closing while it is closed.
It closed June 24th,
And
yeah.
Bad news. Good news is we opened up a new restaurant in Palmerston sort of at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's called Palm Gardens. And it's where woodpeckers used to live, right across from Foodland.
Homemade pasta.
So
Hearing
the
lots
mayor
of
happened
good
in there the same time I happened.
Yep.
How was your food?
Very good. Very good. I had breakfast, but I think Bill had the pasta, and it's homemade pasta. He told me it was, and you approved it.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard lots of good feedback
Yep.
about it.
So it's all
good
good.
feedback.
So I want everybody to go test it.
Okay.
And
That's good for our
Yeah.
community because we were a little lacking in restaurants.
yeah, it's very good.
Good.
Thank you. Summer. Yeah. And by the way, Belinda, you did a very good job as emceeing yesterday. Yeah. And you got a new dress out of it too, right? Yeah.
Hello, I am here to report on our meeting, the Launch It Board meeting that we had on June 9th, so it was a little while ago now. But I'm happy to report, I just have a couple key points here, but I'm happy to report that Launch It is staying on budget with no concerns at this point. This is very important. The second point is on June 24th, actually, we hosted a joint economic development meeting and we had a Launch It tour after it with Mapleton and Wellington North. This evening was well attended. We had a nice full room at Harry Stone's where we had it. Both municipalities are very excited about the Launch It services being extended potentially to their businesses. So that was a good evening. What else do I have here? Oh, Launch It will be hosting a mentor appreciation dinner on November 12th just to show our mentors and mentees, get them all in the same room together and show them our appreciation for all the hard work that they're doing and good work that they're doing for our businesses. Blue Water Securities was in Launch It yesterday, installing a new security system in the office, so we're all hooked up there. We haven't activated it just yet until everyone gets their own personal code, but once that's done, we'll be starting to use that. And lastly, Launch It Board has adjourned for the summer until September 8th, so we won't be meeting again until then.
Perfect. Good. Any questions for Summer?
It's pretty straightforward.
No? Yeah, great job. It was fun the other night with, how many people did we have between the three groups? There was
It was a lot.
Oh,
Great turnout.
35 between all three communities. And it's great to see the communities working together and, with Wellington North doing the renewal project and we're doing the Launch It. You see that and that's important because it allows us to spread our limited resources out and join forces and get things done. So looking forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you.
And cultural roundtable. We could have put that, then you could have stayed up. Like, is this a
Change your hair.
I know. I need another new dress.
What's the story with the dress?
No, she got a new dress yesterday for the
dress because I was emceeing the big announcement yesterday. So Culture Roundtable, we met on June 22nd. As you'll know, Culture Days is the end of September, so we're busy planning for that. We had our first Concerts in the Park event on Sunday in Palmerston and featured our people, our songwriters, and people on the CDs, selling our CDs, and it was a nice, hot, sunny day. So our next one, if you missed that one, is the 19th of July at the Hairston train station. And in August, I know it's the 16th of August, so you can maybe catch it before you go to AMO. That's the one in Clifford. So that's pretty much what we're busy planning. Again, this committee doesn't meet over the summer, so staff is working on planning a volunteer summit in the fall. As we all know, volunteers are so important in our community, and many of the groups are struggling to survive, and many of things happen in our community because of volunteers. So we need to step in and see what we can do to try and generate more volunteerism in the community. So we're working on that over the summer too.
Great. Questions? Super. Okay, so we just need a motion to accept all three of those. Oh, that's great. Question?
No.
No, motion?
Make a
Jean?
motion.
And Judy. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
J-team.
Staff reports, business economic development, you're there. Stay there.
Yep. Yeah, so just, I mentioned about our community improvement plan and our facade and signage grant program. So this is a really big one. Craig and his family at Hearth and Leisure in Clifford are planning a major renovation. I was actually speaking to Craig yesterday, and this is about a $40,000 renovation now. So I did put in there what the return on our investment would be, but it has now gone up, so significantly. So he's doing, he has 2 facades on his building, so he would qualify for $3,000 for each side and then $1,000 for signage. And as I had highlighted, basically then in our original CIP, we have $3,000 allocated for signage. That $3,000 would be gone. Our facade money is technically gone, but we have our we increased the budget this year to $58,000. So we still do have money for this program. And like I said, it's a huge return on investment for us. And Clifford is booming with people buying and renovating commercial properties, which is great to see and very exciting. So that's that. It's quite a list. I'm not going to go through all the things that they're doing, but it's pretty much an overhaul of
It's great. I mean, that in Clifford now, you've got Miller's just got done. This gets done. We've crossed the roads done. There's the 909 is sold and it's be opening up as a pub. All kinds of neat things happening.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, super. Motion to accept. Ron? Ron and Ron. All in favor?
Bookends.
Yeah.
R squared.
Oh my gosh, yes, wow. Building assistant severance, whatever. Oh, yes, this is our new
Isn't it?
building assistance person here. Stacy, too.
Yeah, hi.
That's you,
I'd
Stacy.
like to see what her position was.
Is that me?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm just gonna say, I thought that we were gonna get the boss up, but no, we got the assistant. That's good.
Sorry.
Good.
Sorry
Go
to
for it.
disappoint.
No, no.
We're
Welcome.
not.
Thrilled, Stacy.
We're not, Stacy.
Welcome, Stacy.
So this is my report in relation to a severance application, consent application submitted to the County of Wellington for 255 Norman Street on the corner of Norman and Inkerman. Basically, what they want to do, you can tell exactly by the little photo there, is split off the residence and the commercial building that is on the corner of the property and separate that from the remainder of the storage shed and the old Wilson's Hardware on the other side of the property there. So we met, the chief building official, everyone for the planning meeting, and there wasn't any major concerns on the severance at all. And if you read the planner's comments, there's no concerns there either with the official plan or anything. So the recommendation, I'll just read it out for you, that council recommends that the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve the severance application B4215 for the property there, and that their condition that prior to a certificate of consent being issued, all financial requirements are met to the satisfaction of the town of Minto.
Questions? Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
Thank you. Stacy, I see is that just a photo crop? The line for
That's
goes right through the building?
Yeah, that's from the Wellington County mapping system, and the property lines aren't always 100% accurate. Sorry about that.
No, I just want to clarify that
It
that the line
probably
would go to
shifted-
the right.
It probably is shifted a little bit to the right there, yes.
Cut half that building off.
That's right. I go, that's a strange.
It's a survey there.
Yeah. Councillor Elliott.
If this gets passed, after this is passed, if it gets passed, is there any plans for use of the buildings, or what the thoughts were?
At this time, there are no tenants. I just know this because of the source water side of things. We had to interview them for our notices there. So the plan was to sell one of the properties and keep the other one. So I'm not sure if since that was close to 3 weeks ago, I'm not sure if he's had any interest since then. He's planning on doing some fixing up of the property and then
Which
rent it
side
out.
is he planning on selling? Do you have any idea?
At the time, he was planning on selling the one with the residents, but I guess that would somewhat depend on interest, right? No problem.
Beveridge.
Councillor Turton.
Do you think that, Stacy, do you think that package was like that from day one, or is it, was that a severance that was there years ago? Like,
Sorry,
just because the distance between the house and the Wilsons, I mean, the old
Creamery.
yeah,
hardware.
I honestly am not sure, Dave. I don't know, Terry, what do you think? Yeah.
because there's been,
I don't know, there's been lots of owners in there, hasn't there?
over the years, there's been so much activity there.
Yeah.
If Mayor Bridge, through you, if I had to guess, it might have followed the old town lot configurations in the original. It's lot 70 to 74, it might have been one of those lots that started on, but it's kind of growing.
So there is no issues at all with lot lines and through that. That's amazing.
Yeah, like initially they wanted to sever off the house, but that wouldn't comply with
Yeah.
our
No.
minimum
No,
lot
they'd have-
coverage
No.
or setbacks, so they switched
Wow.
their thought process there.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Hey, motion to accept the report. Councillor Turton, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor? Ron will agree. Okay, good, thanks, Ron. No, you didn't get it that time. I'll get you next time.
All right.
All right, chief, billing monthly statistics. Oh, he wants to be up here to do the statistics. Aha. Oh, no, you're doing the parking first? Oh, you're right. Oh, that's right.
Have him or can Stacy come back?
Yeah, can Stacy come back? No. Go ahead. No, you've been working on this hard, I know, Terry.
This one has been fun. So this is a follow-up to a report that I submitted to council back in March. The directive I got at that time was to check with the parents and local residences just to see what their thoughts and opinions are of the parking concerns on that strip of Prospect Street. So I met with the school board, the parent council, and obviously myself, and what we decided to do was to send a letter to all the residents that lived on that street and to all the parents. So there's quite a few that went out. I received a few, probably about a dozen comments and information on what they thought should be done. So to summarize it, one of the points was to convert Prospect Street into a one-way street in that strip, just so traffic's only flowing in one direction. Add additional sidewalks, adjust some of the sidewalk snow clearing in that area. Construct a parking lot for the parents and teachers on the school property, construct a bus loading zone on the school property, and to limit the amount of time a vehicle can park directly in front of the school, so on the opposite side of the road. So we took all those into consideration, met with Public Works, the fire department, and myself, and went through them, and there was a bunch of issues with some of the comments. The converting the street to a one-way street sounds great, but now all the snow is going to be pushed onto the school property where the kids are getting on and off the buses, so that wouldn't work. The sidewalk is one of the things that we mentioned previously that we're still recommending to council, and that's from the existing crosswalk all the way to Toronto Street. Public Works is dealing with the snow clearing in the area. There was a little conflict between when the school cleared theirs and when we cleared our sidewalks. They were after us, so they just kind of piled it back on our sidewalks. We're not interested really in constructing a parking lot or the bus loading area on school property. Can't really do that. And the last point was actually one that the residences across the road raised. In the initial report, it was time-limited parking all day, so just 10-minute stints throughout the school day. But they obviously can figure out traffic flows a lot better because they're living there all the time. And the issues that they were having were just when the students were getting let out. Parents would start showing up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to wait till 3:15 to pick their kids up. So they felt that it was nice and easy if they have visitors coming over, that they could park in front of their houses except during that period. So essentially, recommendation is very similar to our initial one, to prohibit parking on two sides of Prospect Street. So there's the map up there. So the first one's the top left in the red. So our roads foreman went out and measured the road, and the road doesn't even comply with our standard for parking on even just one side. So now that we're aware of it, now we have to obviously enforce what our standards say. So it'd be to stop parking in those two areas. The green line would be the time-limited parking, and that's from between 2 and 4 in the afternoon during school days. The existing bus loading zone would remain unchanged, which it permits parking except for within school hours, so kind of blend both sides of the road. And then the blue line is a 5-foot sidewalk from that crosswalk to Toronto, and then same deal as the other side of Prospect, being that it narrows down there, we have to prohibit parking on those two sections, or those two sides of Prospect as well. So that pretty much summarizes it. Cost for all this would be about $2,000 for all the signs and the posts for the various signage that we need, and about $26,000 for the sidewalk, which I believe is in the budget that was approved already.
Okay, there might be some questions. I think Ron Elliott had his up first.
Reach you for a change.
You did.
Great about parking, similar things we have at Tim Hortons. Who's going to enforce this parking? Are they going to, because I know these parents, they're as aggressive as anybody. They come in, I've been at school for years, and that's why they come at 2 o'clock to get ahead of everybody. So
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And they will park, they'll double park, they'll do whatever they can.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It is going to be up to the OPP to enforce it. So the plan is, once everything's in place, it'll just be the initial, once the signs are up in the first part of school, till they kind of get used to it, that they can't park there, I think is what's going to be the biggest issue. And if there's a problem, I think we can help the OPP out and issue some tickets there too.
Either we issue them or we have somebody advise them that there will be no parking. That's quite.
Well, that's what the signs are there for.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you can't read the signs, then you know what?
Well, verbally, sometimes, here's the sign.
Yep. I'm going to talk to the school board to see if they can send something home to the parents
Sure.
and guardians
Yeah.
as well,
That would probably be a good.
just for a summary as to what we did and why.
Go ahead, Ron, first, then.
No, if you.
Well, no, I just, because I'm having the same issue with the Brisbane school on a county situation. And one of the things in the afternoon, what age do they have to actually get signed out? Or is it all kids have to get signed out, or can they leave the school? Is there an age
Don't know.
limit?
They leave.
They leave. I think there's an age, oh, sorry, Stacy, you know?
I don't have to sign my kids out
No.
when I
So-
pick them up, and mine are JK and SK.
Okay, yeah, so I guess maybe it's because that's a rural school, but they actually have to sign them out. So I didn't think they did, because when I've gone to pick up my grandkids, we used to always have them come up to the church parking lot, which we sit in and wait for them, so you can get there early and sit there and wait. And now we have the sidewalk coming up there, that should hopefully, so if we send the notices out, I'm hoping the little ones will be the ones that they'll be going there at 10, like the 10-minute one, like, hopefully, not the ones that are in, 1, 2, and 3, where they know they can walk up to some place to get picked up. But anyways, what, Ron?
I'm still trying to understand. I have a question then a statement. What was the reaction of the school board when 2 of those proposals were submitted to them?
With these comments, or?
Yeah, the bus turnaround, one, and also the construction of a parking lot for the teachers.
After I met with, it's Jennifer Passy with the school board, she said it wasn't in their budget for next year, and she didn't seem like they were willing to do anything about it. But then a letter came home with kids a week later about actually getting rid of that first baseball field and putting up a parking lot there. So I don't know what that has.
Okay, so that could still happen.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to put a sidewalk and a curb, it'd be nice to know that ahead of time so that we can not have to reconstruct the entrance and all that kind of stuff.
They would actually
Did we
be
come off
using
what is there?
their existing entrance.
See the
Okay.
entrance there, Ron?
Yeah. And
Yeah, no, I realize that, but it makes sense to make a second one. It just would. And shoot, I lost my train of thought, but certainly, we realize we all have to work with budgets, but in my opinion, that explanation wasn't sufficient enough because it's an issue that has to be dealt with, for sure.
Well, and by doing or implementing this proposal, it's going to force their hand to do something because they've got more teachers than parking spaces. They've got people that come during the day for different
Absolutely.
programs and stuff like that. So they're going to have to do something.
Had they talked to the church yet
I believe they have.
for maybe having the teachers park up there?
So they are looking into it.
Because they won't be able to park where they park now, which is on the street.
And to me, it's a definite benefit to the school board because you don't have to pay to build the sidewalk. It's just whatever the negotiated terms of the agreement is. So.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you, Terry.
Jean first. And then.
So I share the concerns of Ron. You can post the signs. I was at the soccer field the other day and I watched a mother pull up in her truck 2 feet from the no parking sign, drop her kids off and light up a cigarette. I said, people don't, well, they may read signs, but they choose to determine whether it pertains to them or not, and apparently it only pertains to certain parts of the public, not everybody in the public. And when you close down the parking on that whole street, because it's a very narrow street,
Yeah.
the school board's going to have to get involved, because they're going to have to police the teachers. You may as well tell the OPP officer to park there that first day, whatever those were, because they can just make their year's funds just hand out tickets, because what's going to happen.
Yep.
They're going to park there.
Well-
And it doesn't solve anything for the kids because there's still the risk. And I think the issue, the reason, if you're there and you're parking right there, it's because you've got a little one in JK, but you've got 2 babies in the back seat. You don't want to haul them all out so that you can walk up to get the little one in the church. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying the younger ones, you might still need the
But then
tent.
you have to have consideration from the ones that are perfectly capable of having the kids walk up the sidewalk.
Well,
And I
yeah.
don't know whether the school gets involved with that so that the crossing guard sort of directs children, or they all work together to go, okay, you guys, we're going to have a little walking trail up to where your parents are waiting at the church because they cannot park on this street.
The school board also, for this coming season, is looking at decreasing the distance that kids walk to the school.
Oh, some more
There's-
buses.
There's a limit, so there'd be more kids in town.
Being bused.
Being bused.
both ways. So that may help
Okay.
as well.
Bill? Sorry, Judy, did you have a question?
Well, I guess my comment was going to be, it seems to me that this is as much the school's problem, or the school board's problem, as it is the town's. I think with what is being recommended, the town has done a lot. We put some dollars into it, and we've, kind of looked at the situation pretty seriously. The partnership with the church is great because that's a free parking. It's a plus for the school board and for the town, and it looks to me like the school board may have to make the next move to make a further improvement if one indeed needs to be made. And I feel like it's probably not perfect, but it's as perfect as we're going to get it.
Yeah, and we can always assess, see it how it is
Yeah.
come the next school year, and if
Yep.
we need to modify things, then we can do that.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Jerry, I think you've done the right thing. I mean, you went out, you've asked the people up and down the street, you've asked the school board, the school council, and there's not much more we can do. Sometimes we do things in knee-jerk reaction, but in this particular case, you've asked everybody. And until the school board steps up.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what it's going to take to get them to step up.
We can only focus on the area
Yeah.
that we have control over, and
Yeah,
it's going
exactly.
to be.
I mean, you've done your homework. You obviously feel it's the best solution,
I do.
so.
Is it within our realm, and I don't know that it is, but once we've addressed the issues we have, and I think you've done a good job of looking at it, and it really is a huge concern, can council recommend there must be a parent counselor at the school, that they write a letter to the school board saying, the town's done this far, you have to do something. This still is not safe enough, we need more parking.
I'd love to
They
see.
have been corresponding.
Yes.
with the
Okay.
school board.
We try to get all the groups together on that, and I think that's why, and a good point that Councillor Turton made was, this came to us, and it was a big concern, and we had a safety concern, but we did do the right thing, I think, was to try to get all the groups together, try to come up with some solution. And, it's not all there, as I think Councillor Dirksen said, but it's a lot closer than it was, a lot better than it was, and hopefully we can move forward and get this going, and it'll be going in September, I take it.
The plan is, spoke to Mike, it'll be probably next month.
And we'll have the sidewalk done and.
Sidewalk will be in place, and.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a lot.
So we'll continue that correspondence with the school board on that, and I know the trustee has talked, that's why, I think that was his idea, actually, for the one ball diamond to go.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was his idea to put a parking lot in there, so he's probably working from his side, so, Bill?
Just a technical thing, and I know I reviewed the report, and it just struck my mind there about the morning times and whether we should have the time limit in the morning too.
And I did ask, it's the individuals who live right across the road from the school, and they said the mornings isn't a problem because you pull up, you
Yep.
open the door, you walk your kid,
wait.
or watch your kid
It's-
hit the school or the yard,
It's the
and you're
pickup.
gone. It's the pickup that everyone wants to be right there, so.
Yeah, you did talk.
Yeah, I think,
I
yeah.
must have fell off the planet there.
No, I knew that. Anyways,
Just
yes,
one more,
Steve.
one more technical details. The first wording says that they're offing their children. You need to put the word drop. That doesn't sound very good. They said the parents are offing off the children and then they drop them
Yeah,
off later.
that's-
Just put drop in there.
Dropping would be
Not
good.
part of the
Okay,
family.
I will do that.
all right. And
Because that would solve the problem,
Yeah.
but.
Oh,
Perhaps not in the
We
intended
don't want to
way.
encourage that.
no.
No, I didn't think
And
so.
as far as the police go, I know I've talked to Inspector Larson, and he will be there if we have it ready to go September. They'll have a cruiser there for the first week or so, and they'll ticket them. And they're doing the same thing in Brisbane. They're gonna get them there, and they'll put them there. They'll be there. So people will get the message pretty quick, Ron, and there'll be no,
Yeah, one.
Cards
one
and letters
week
for
of
that.
it, like-
yeah, might be enough to know.
Oh, you need.
Okay. And as far as, I know it's a favorite subject of ours, policing these things, and I was over at Tim Hortons today, and we have the sergeant looking at, they've sort of got going pretty hard on Harrison, now they're going to start concentrating on Palmerston, so, and the sergeant was going to start doing that.
Doesn't seem to be as bad a problem in Palmerston.
Well, there is, but I saw today again, somebody parking in the turning lane, and, but anyways, but we have gone at them again, and they're going to start looking at that, so. Anyways, let's go to some good news. Do we have a motion to accept the report? Deputy Mayor Faulkner and Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Very good, thank you.
Perfect, thank you very much.
And this is great news.
So, yes, we've had another busy month in June. Basically, we've issued 27 permits worth a little over 2.3 million, which gives our total year to date at 98 permits and 14.5 million.
Wow.
So that's doing good. We had 4 new residential units this month, and I just crunched the numbers to see kind of where we're at. I've issued 25 new units throughout Minto. So that's to the end of June, and just for comparators, 2012 and 2014, we did 6 for the whole year, and 27 for 2013, so we're well ahead of the game. And I also checked out what our 10-year rolling average is for year end, and just for curiosity or information's sake, our 10-year average to the end of December is 14.7 million. So basically I've done a whole year's worth of work up to this point, so we're,
Is that asking for the rest of the year up?
holidays.
You got a year's salary already, too.
No, you've got an assistant now, so don't be giving me a hard time.
I know, I
You got an assistant.
Keep it going, Terry.
Yeah, good work.
Good job, good work.
Councillor Caldwell.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, just a question on the agriculture. It's huge, it's wonderful. I notice it's 8 permits. Is that large figure primarily one, or is it split between the 8 roughly?
This one included, the biggest one was a new barn for 600,000.
Okay.
So
On this last one.
On White's Road.
Yeah, that's the White's Road one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we've issued.
What about the other one on going out to Drew?
That's $1 million.
That was $1 million.
That was $1 million.
And it's,
Okay.
yeah, the one on County Road 5 is about 22,000 square feet. The one on County Road 2 is about 34.
Mm-hmm.
I've issued another one this month for, where is that? Last month. It was another 21,000 square feet.
Wow.
So we've got tons of barns.
Wow.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
fabulous.
Very good. And the nice thing too, it's spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have, how many units gone up in Clifford, for instance?
Oh, we've got 3 new houses, 4-plex and a 3-plex this year. And I normally do 1 unit in Clifford a year.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mayor
Councillor.
Bridge. Terry, what's the feedback? Is it just Minto, or is it everywhere?
I've heard some adjacent municipalities are busy and others aren't. So I don't understand why some are and some aren't. It's I don't-
Hopefully some are doing, eh?
it's good news for us, so that's all I'm concerned about.
Development charges, maybe.
Yep, good. Don't you start. Okay, somebody give me a motion to accept that. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? Great report, thanks, Terry, keep it up.
Thank you, Terry.
Oh, now we're spending the money. I'll turn it over to,
Just get it in and
I'm going to turn over to
spends it
Councillor
right
Caldwell to spend the money.
I'm good at that.
Yeah.
Just ask my husband.
Yeah.
We only have one item on the finance agenda tonight, and that is the approval of accounts, and I'll turn it over to Treasurer Duff.
Great, thanks, Chair Caldwell. Yeah, as you can see, all our departments are very busy. In the last one, we had the check to the county for the second quarter, This year we have the school board, and that's $560,000. We've also done a bit more on the floodline mapping, another $11,000 for that, so that project's coming along. And we bought about $25,000 in the suite furniture, so hopefully it sounds like that'll be installed soon here. And Public Works, of course, is very busy. We've awarded a lot of tenders. We had about a little over $100,000 in surface treatment for calcium chloride and emulsion. The 6th line, that work is pretty much done. That was about $540,000. And they just started on the other tree removal and that kind of work this year. We've done a bit more on our inflow and infiltration work this year, about $50,000 in this period. And also they're hard at work improving the Lions Clubhouse on the main street of Palmerston too.
It's looking good.
And getting the soccer nets and pool liners and all those recreation projects too. So I think you'll see a lot, and you'll probably see a lot of financial things on borrowing coming in the next little while too. So, anyway, so.
Is there any questions? Yes, Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you. Did you say that 6th line was $500,000?
Yes, it was 538,000. We're in group that one.
Okay, I thought we were spending $500,000 over 2 years, and the first year was 240 something. It was 240 for the, wasn't the...
yeah, that's right, 240.
Wasn't the paving estimated to be 240, and then it came in slightly less than that by tender?
Yeah.
Have you done another $500,000?
Not in that one.
What did you do? Because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, there's some other various streets, I think, run there.
I think
too.
so.
This is
There must be.
To the Murray Group, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna, there's quite a bit of other paving being done, because,
Okay,
That's
yeah.
all that's in
Okay,
there.
yeah,
You're
because I
right,
think
Judy.
the 6th line paving
That's
was
right.
like 230 something.
Yeah, 240.
And it's
plus
fantastic, by the way, I
240.
have to say.
we haven't got it all, it's not all done yet.
No, it's half done.
It's half done, that's why.
The other
I
half to
understand.
do in the spring.
I think,
Hopefully the early spring. 'cause
I
it's gonna
think it
be
is,
there.
is it through you, Councillor Caldwell? I think it is 500,000 overall, I think you're right, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But it was supposed to be in 2
I
years.
agree, but
Yeah.
half of it is for next year, yes,
Yeah,
okay.
no, that's the other.
I just
that's
didn't
the
think
other
that tree
further.
trimming was $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not for that.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Then the recommendation is the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated June 24th, 2015 regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for May-June 2015. May I have someone move that, please? Mayor Bridge and Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor? It's passed. Can I turn the chair back to you, Mayor Bridge?
When I did put my hand up first. Okay. Oh, I don't, and you're not on here tonight.
That's fine,
You
sir.
got an easy
No
night.
problem, sir.
Okay, so I've got the clerks doing this one. CEO clerk, backyard chicken coops report.
Lucky me. Mayor Bridge, members of council, this issue actually started when I was on vacation, May 19th, and we did have a letter come forward, and subsequent to that, other letters about the issue of backyard chicken coops. Staff has done some research into what's done in some other communities. Coincidentally, the city of Owen Sound, where I spent some 20 plus years, is right in the midst of this argument, so I was able to gather some information on where they're going, and frankly, they're still struggling with it as far as I can tell at this point. There's lots of ways of going about this issue. I've pointed out in the report what happens in Guelph, Kingston, Quinte West, and Niagara Falls. And so we came forward with some ideas for you to talk about. Our feeling is that before we do anything, I think we need to get some information from the public about A, whether we're on the right track with these kinds of rules, or B, whether we ought to be doing it at all. So the rules that we're recommending at this point, and it's subject to input from you and the public, is no more than 5 hens on a residential property as an accessory use where the eggs are produced for only use by the occupants, so we don't have a business use on the site. Pens are regularly cleaned and disinfected and maintained with sufficient water and feed. On-site manure storage is not allowed except in odor-free containers. And no pens are closer than 33 feet or 10 meters from any part of a church or residence, including the owner's residence. And they're set back 10 feet from any interior side or rear lot line. And they can't be in a side yard, the side lot line either. So we believe that this would qualify the individual who had written about this and others, obviously, for this kind of activity. I guess just wanted to point out that the health issue that you'll likely hear input on has been discussed at certainly at the Bruce Gray Owen Sound Health Unit, and we can get information from our health unit too if need be, but we believe there's ways through licensing to address any of those kinds of concerns. So certainly at this point, staff is recommending we continue to pursue this and see where it might take us in the future.
Questions? Mayor Faulkner.
Just the setback from churches, schools, I've just lost where it is, but
it's in the
yeah
recommendation.
Is there an issue with 15 meters as opposed to 10?
It just would make some of the lots wouldn't qualify, and you may put out a business, even the ones that some of the ones that are showing an interest now. So we tried to come up with something that was reasonable, that left some space on the residential property. So it can be whatever you set it on.
Of course, yeah.
And then under the bylaw, you can actually give an exemption. So if someone doesn't have that distance, you might be able to give them an exemption on that if you felt like all the other things could be met. So there's no magic to that number. It was just one we thought might work.
Yeah, Mayor Bridge, is this a serious issue in the town of Minto? Like, is this, have we got one issue?
As far as I know, there is only the one situation, but it is becoming more and more popular. And so lucky enough, the issue arose and we have a chance to deal with it, so we'll be ready to handle it. It
is kind of neat. I mean, there's other municipalities dealing with it and have already dealt with it. And I know that you have friends in every town, but what is Guelph? What do they think? Like, have we had feedback from people that have initiated the bylaw and or?
I can talk to that.
Okay.
I've actually, with the group in Guelph, they have two systems. You can either rent or buy the chickens in the coop, and they've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. They were at our Taste Real program the other day. We had one of the booths at Ignatia, and they've had no problems. They've got a lot of these restrictions, and we got their bylaw there too, or not their bylaw, but what their rules are. It just falls nicely into what we've been trying to do with community gardens, with all the other things that we've been working on, to people that can grow a bit of local food, and I think that's what we're looking at. I think I like the idea of having the open public meeting, so we'll get some more feedback. I thought the staff did a great job on putting the report together and going out and getting some facts and figures for us, but I'm sure there's more, and I think this is going to be something that people will want going forward, and we might as well deal with it up front. I mean, many years ago, we had banties in our backyard on Pallister Street there, and I remember when my brother went and got them from the farmer, and he got 3 roosters and 3 hens. And my dad came home and said, no, I'll take those 2 roosters back and get 2 more hens, because we're only going to have one rooster eventually. And we sent them out to my uncle's farm for the winter, and that little banty rooster killed his big rooster. So, yeah, it's an interesting concept. But, you know, I think it is something that we can deal with. Really?
Through you, Mayor Bridge. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful proposal, and I like to see it, but I'm sorry, I missed the part that you said. Some of these concerns that the health unit had seemed very real to me, and I just wonder what your comment was on the health unit. Would they be involved in, because I noticed none of them are built into the...
Well, the health unit would be involved with the ones in Guelph, because it's the Guelph Health Unit. It's Wellington County, Guelph, Wellington County, and they allow them in Guelph. So I think...
No, I'm not saying disallowing. I'm just saying that some of the questions that were asked like how are the hens disposed of and things
Yeah.
like that,
And I think,
are
yeah,
not built into our rules, and I was just wondering how we're dealing with that.
The one that struck me and talk about egg preparation, number one, and handling. So that can, in a licensing situation, you can give out information on that. And then if you know where these operations are, if there's anything like avian influenza, which we gather
this is a
an
concern.
issue, then you can get in touch with people and find out what's going on, and whatever steps may be recommended by the health unit, you can pass them on to them. So.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Councillor
What
Elliott.
is epidemiologist? I was afraid to take my shoes off.
I think that's an epidemiologist. I don't know.
Epidemiologist.
Gene will tell you, but it has to do with disease.
An epidemiologist is a person who determines the source of a disease.
Yeah.
But I said it wrong. I thought I had it, but
Epidemiologist.
thanks.
Councillor Dixon.
We have received a number of letters, very respectful and very thoughtful, and so that's good. And most of them have been in favor, but not all of them.
Not all of them, yep.
But I think, to be fair, most people in Minto don't even know that this is out there.
That's right.
I don't think a paper has even picked it up yet.
No, well, today.
Could be wrong on that.
Tomorrow they'll know.
Will be now. And a good report from Bill as well, lots of information. I think it would be good to also look to Egg Farmers of Ontario or Chicken Farmers of Ontario, or both, because I think there's a certain responsibility to the agricultural feather industry as a whole as well. And avian influenza is just one of those reasons.
I'm sure that, yeah, I mean, and we can look into that for sure. I mean, I get a little worried too that the avian flu thing, I understand that, but at the same token, I mean, a lot of it's from wild birds that they find that they bring to their flocks. I think because if we do this now, we license it, I think Bill's right, then at least we know where they are. Yeah. And we can monitor it and give people some information, because I bet you a lot of people don't even know what, like, that the bird dies, what is it? Like, yeah, dead bird, right? And how should we dispose of it and stuff like that? So it's important, yeah. Jean?
Chicken wings.
And that's my only concern, is the monitoring. I think it's a marvelous idea. I mean, but I'm on a farm. I don't have any issues to deal with. And I think that people want to do that, but it's a question of keeping them clean. Like all projects, it's like having pet rabbits. They can get to be a pretty smelly proposition after a couple of weeks if you don't keep them clean. But who's going to police that, monitor? Or were you just going to wait for? It's one thing to say we're going to monitor it. Avian flu is an out there concern, but it could happen anywhere. It's kind of like ticks too.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Forest, right? What are you going to do about those? But the cleanliness and the maintaining and so forth and so on, and monitoring, because if they're going to have 5 or 6 eggs, unless they got a whole lot of kids, they're going to have surplus eggs. Because we have 3 laying hens right now, and they produce more eggs than we can eat. So there's going to be some backyard trading of eggs, whether we like to
well,
or not.
yeah, I'd hate to say it, but
Like Mr., who I'm all in favor of, drinking raw milk. I mean, if they want to buy a portion of the hen so that they're eating eggs out of their hen, go for it, people. We are allowed to make choices, but.
yeah, no, I don't even get me started on the whole egg issue as far as grading eggs and making sure eggs are. I mean, I think most people can know to wash an egg and make sure it's clean, and but I guess if you don't, you don't. I mean, but
No, and for the people, but they are going to trade eggs. We're saying that they have to consume the eggs themselves, and we know, and when we talk.
well, we got that now, Gene. We got that all over the place. I mean, public health, they shake their heads all the time, and they try to keep it at farm gate. You can have it at farm gate. You can sell eggs at farm gates. So as long as your eggs, you can sell them, right? So I think sometimes we want to monitor and put a control of our lives so much now that it's starting to really bug me. I don't know. I sit on public health.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying if we put in the policy that we're going to monitor, what's that going to look like?
Yeah, and I think that's why we want the public meeting. And if I'm sure we'll have all sides come out and we'll have for and against, but I think we want to make sure that we give the public, and I agree with Councillor Durston, I don't think really, other than a few people that know about it that have been affected by it right now, but right now, it's out there. I'm sure there's a lot more chickens out there that are providing eggs for people that are in people's backyards that we don't even know about. And now we'll have a license, the same as kennels. One of the nice things about kennel licensing is when we do find a situation that isn't licensed, Terry, we can go after them. We can go and shut them down, or so now we really have no real authority to do anything, I believe. Like, yeah, go ahead. Or we don't know where they are, I guess.
Yeah, the only authority we have right now is that they're prohibited.
Yeah.
So.
And we only get that if there's somebody complains.
Exactly. So it's.
So I'd rather be able to say out there, you know what, get your license. Just like you have a dog, get your license.
I don't disagree, but I hate to see another owner's task added to the town staff people monitoring chicken pens that we've now discovered because the neighbors are going to complain and report them. And you go, oh, now we got 100 chicken coops to go and inspect once a month. So that's all. I'm just leery about what we put into place.
Well, we'd have it now anyways if we had complaints, because we'd still have to go out and do them. But yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councillor Turton. Second by Councillor Dirksen. All in favor? Opposed? There he is. I'm going to check if there's any chickens at your place.
You can come out and
horses. I'm going to get rid of horses. I think horses should be banned.
Hey.
That was RF, by the way.
Yeah, that was RF, and I will stand up and defend that.
Lazy horses, yeah. I had a good farmer friend always said, if they don't do anything for you and you can't eat them, then what do you got them for? But my sister would get really mad at me. She's got 16 of them, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. CEO clerk on town staffing, maternity leaves. We haven't got any more, have we? Like clerk's department.
No, we got rid of that.
Well, I don't know, Mayor Bridge. They know what causes that, but I don't know what.
Okay.
The purpose of this report is just to update you with the various staffing issues that are going on right now. We do have 2 people on maternity leave, and we are making efforts internally to cover these assignments when people are off. And so in terms of the next one, which is in the recreation area, Matt Lubers has managed to make a switch with the CAO clerk's department, so he doesn't have a maternity leave in his area. That's in the clerk's department area right now. So you'll see an ad that's in the paper for a 1-year contract for some assistance in terms of reception in the front. With Peg's resignation, we have been looking at the duties. We have reallocated some staff responsibilities to other staff. We have the building department and Stacy and Terry taking on some of the planning work, and the CAO council assistant Annalene has taken on all the agenda preparation work and the council follow-up, as well as the vital statistics. And also she and I are also the remaining 2 marriage officiants here. So with the next switch, when Tanya returns, we may well train her into doing the civil marriages as well. What's also mentioned in here is a kind of a switch with the reception person that had been working part-time and doing the Norgan work, moving into recreation. We feel that takes better advantage of her skills. And then in the recreation person moving up into administration and some of the financial work, that also, and the front counter work, that also takes advantage of her skills. So just to let you know that things are going on internally to address the departure that we did have, and also the maternity leaves that are ongoing, happily ongoing since Belinda went. And yeah. In terms of building inspection services, really good news here, and Stacy's left, but she did pass her second building code test, so she is now certified. If you appoint her, she can do some of the inspection work as a backup to Terry. So in addition to the source water protection work, she can take on some of the building inspection work when needed. So she's passed the certified building officials legal as well as the small building certification exams. You have to have those to do that work. You cannot do it if you don't. So that's one of the few positions that actually have to have that certification to actually do that work. So we're very lucky to have that. Stacy was the maternity leave fill-in for when Belinda was on leave. She started in the front reception, so and then began some work in building area. So in terms of succession planning, a lot of these moves have kind of helped us. So we're really happy to see her progress, and with Terry's direction, I think we have an excellent resource there. So you have a bylaw later on to appoint her to that. So that's the essence of the report. We're right now down about 1 FTE, with which is about 1% of your tax-supported budget. We're looking at some reallocation of resources in the fire department to maybe create some support in that area for the next few years, and augment that work, and also to work on some of this electronic meeting stuff and electronic reporting and e-transactions, and moving forward into the new century. So just a little update on staffing there and where we sit. So for now, we're going to sit on that staff position and just see where it takes us, and have some recommendations around that probably for the next budget.
Questions? I thought a good report, Bill, and I was saying earlier that we're so lucky to have all this young people coming forward and coming into our community, and coming back to our community as well. And it's really made our work easier as far as councillors to have the talent that we've got, even though they sometimes take a year off. That's all right too, as you can see from this. And that's why I was kind of kidding Stacy earlier. So we'll see if she gets through the bylaw. But for her to do what she's done and learn the source water and now take on the building, it's been a big boom. And some of our other people moving into positions they're going to really like. It's just great. And I'd like to congratulate you on sort of being the guiding force in all this. So that's all I want to say. A motion to accept. Councillor Turton, Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried.
I don't know what he's saying.
What's up? What's up, Rob?
Can't say it out loud because
Oh, okay.
get Bill in trouble.
All right. Well, moving along, let him do the mapping here.
Mayor Bridge, thank you for that comment, and also it's really the staff, and particularly the department heads. They are very aggressive on their agendas, and they do all the work, so it's really just a matter of letting them do their jobs. In terms of the floodplain mapping updates, I did attach a notice for you to, so that you knew what was going on. And I thought I'd better report back on it just to clarify, in case you were wondering, well, what the heck, are we going to get these new floodplain maps or not? So just a little bit of a background. The notice that the Conservation Authority has given pertains to the entire watershed. So there's a bit of a diagram showing that watershed, and the yellow area in that map shows you Minto and where it sits. So we're kind of up at the one end of it, but no doubt we get a lot of water in Harriston, and you can see Palmerston down there. It doesn't have any floodplain mapping, but tributaries of the Maitland do run through there. So. But anyway, at the end of the day, it all ends up in Lake Huron through Godrich. Mm-hmm. When I spoke to Steve Jackson at the Conservation Authority about the notice and where we were, he wanted to make sure that we knew that, first of all, the Harriston floodplains are the old floodplains, and it really is more of a procedure to give notice on those old floodplains. They want to make sure that the public is well aware, and so we don't have new flood lines yet for Harriston. In the rural areas, we do have some expanded floodplain areas. So if you go to the next map that's on the next page, the green is the old floodplain and the red is the new floodplain. So the red area, you can't really see it that well, but kind of extends beyond the green in many cases. That means that the flood lines are in an area that is broader than they were before, but the Conservation Authority had that as a fill regulated area anyway. So they were kind of regulating based on a broader area than the floodplains anyway. So basically now what they have is more information and more accurate information to help them process permits in the rural areas. So we don't believe that the new floodlines in the rural area are going to have any dramatic impact on the town interests as far as municipal drains and roads and other things. We'll still need to get our permits for culverts and crossings and that kind of stuff, and I don't think this is really going to change. That said, however, we did send it to our drainage engineers, and if they bring anything forward to us between now and August 26th, when I think this goes before the authority, then we'll certainly bring that forward to you. So really more about information to you than any serious or significant concern. In terms of an update on where we are with our floodplain mapping, there's a bit of a history in there about how this all started and where we've been going, and it has been ongoing for about 3 years, but frankly it's actually been ongoing for almost 50 years now. The floodplain in 1977 looks a lot different now than it did back then. It's quite a bit smaller. So really the short story is we need fairly high quality three-dimensional maps now in order to prepare more properly accurate floodplain. So in addition to having 3D maps, Triton Engineering had to do some surveying of the floodplain itself. So basically they take their total station surveying information and digitally record elevations and figures on the ground. So all of that gets fed into the computer, and you can create a very, very accurate 3D model of the floodplain. And when you run the flow data through that, it gives you a very, very accurate floodplain. And we all know that the community has changed since 1988 when we last did these. We have bridges out, we have railway bridges out, we have new bridges put in, and new structures here and there. So the idea is to find out where is that floodplain and start regulating it appropriately. The Conservation Authority is on side for that. We believe we'll have new provincial-wide imagery in March. And assuming we have that, we should be able to reproduce the floodlines in an accurate sense in the springtime. The recommendation to you is just to receive the reports, to forward any comments from Dietrich Engineering if the rural floodplains become a concern to them, and that we ask the Conservation Authority to supply any new information on the Harrison floodplain mapping based on the additional flow data they've collected so far. So we'll get Steve to put that information together and tell us just where we sit. Remember, we spent $21,000 on new monitoring information in the watershed. So that's our recommendation on that particular issue.
Comment, Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Just that, and I know I brought this up before, but the two stanchions that from the old railway bridge. Let's see now, just it'd be west of Arthur and John Street. Who is going to be responsible for taking those out? Because I do believe that that's an issue with the water flow in the springtime getting out of Harrison.
Mayor Bridge, through you, I don't have that information for sure, but if it was part of the rail line, I suspect in that area of the town, it's still ours.
Yep.
Okay. It's likely ours to remove. One of the things we will know for sure when we have this is what impact those things are actually having.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we have to take them out,
or if we take them out, will they give us more, what's the
Exactly.
value to take them out compared to what it costs?
Exactly.
Councillor Turton?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bridge.
Councillor Dirksen?
Phil Beard's going to be coming here to visit the Minto Council sometime the next month.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a request on what do we want to talk to him about. We've been to Wellington North, we've been to Mapleton, and, basically, we told them the same story as this council was told last spring. So, last fall. So, and I look at this report, Bill, and I see, we talked about it up in Roxeter, and you have a really good way of putting reports together, and it's so much more understandable. Anyways, I talked to Steve as well, Steve Jackson, and back in 2006, before that, there was some floodplains left off. And so it's that they're trying to bring up to date. And there's 3 public meetings. There was one yesterday, one today, and one tomorrow. So the one yesterday went very well. There wasn't many people out. Where this originated way back, the reason why they're going through this is back a few months ago, they started in the Upper Thames district, and there was a lot of questions. So that's a little bit of history. But I will make the motion on this report.
Let's do some first, though. You had a question?
Well, I'll second it to get it on the
Yep.
floor. And
Okay.
then I just wanted to say, I wonder, I can't really see on the screen, and I can't see in the hard copy either, but it looks to me, like, for instance, it looks like it says 12th line west of Highway 9. And so I'm just wondering if yeah, you can't see it either.
No, I was going to say.
So I'm just wondering if somebody.
You can see that? Because I can't.
Well, I'm just wondering if, it looks like it says 12th line. Maybe it says 11th line. 11th line would be correct.
It is, I think it's 11.
Is it 11?
It looks like 11. Hard to say.
I don't know. Anyways, I just thought maybe somebody should check some of those road names and make sure that they are correct.
Accurate.
Looks,
Oh, that's better. Well, I can't see it.
I can't
I
see
tried to
that.
blow mine up too, and
Where'd
it just got
where'd that
blurred.
map come from?
Wow. You
Is
got
that what
good
you're talking
eyes that
about?
you can even see.
Well, I just, it jumped off the page.
12th line,
just, you
yeah.
gotta go over a bit.
12th line,
Over and
that'd
up
be
a bit.
towards Mount
Over and up
Forest, right?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So is that a 12? It looks like a 12
Is that
up
12 or
there.
11? I don't know. It's supposed to be 11. That would be 11th
Maybe
line.
younger eyes can see.
further over to the left does look like 11.
There we go. It does?
Anyways, maybe it should be checked into to make sure
Okay.
that it's right.
Yeah, it looks, yes, you're right, it does. And the next one, it looks more like 11.
We
Keep
can likely
going,
get-
That's
past the
11.
circle, the water.
Be there.
Whatever that is.
That's the 11th line.
Going,
Right?
this way. Going, there, it looks more like an 11.
Yeah.
Lake Huron.
Anyways, it is the same road.
Lake Agassiz.
That's Pike Lake.
No, it's not.
Jeez.
Whatever that is.
So we can,
We just moved.
Counselor Dirksen, if you want to, I can and get Steve to really blow it up, or we can maybe blow it up and get the numbers right.
I just thought somebody should check, because these are
Yep.
pretty important maps and they stay in place for a long time,
they
apparently,
do.
if they haven't been changed since, what'd you say, 1988?
2006 is
Oh,
when they
2006, okay.
started, but,
Where'd I get
I mean,
88?
if we're making changes, we might as well get it.
Let's get
try and
them
get it
right anyways, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It's not Pike Lake either. It's just the border. Looks like a lake, though, when you're
Does look
up
like
close.
Yeah, no, that's,
Lake Huron.
All right.
Just the watershed.
So we have the motion. You got the second and it's.
Yep.
Okay.
oh, sorry.
Any other questions? All in favor? I'll talk to you, David, about some of the things. Later on it, as far as.
What we want him to talk
concerns.
about, yes?
Yep.
No problem.
Okay. But it's not just Maitland, it's in general with conservation authorities.
Yep, no problem.
Fountain Park, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. It's not very often I get a pet peeve, but this is one, so. And I want to commend our staff because they've been trying hard to get it going with no budget. So I'm asking for council's permission to allocate some budget to getting the fountain working at CNR Park or Fountain Park or whatever you'd like to call it. We've had a fountain there for.
It's
for
actually
90 years.
CN Park, Fountain Park for
Yep.
people that live there, but CN Park for people that know. Bob, yep.
We've had a fountain at that park for over 90 years. So,
Yep.
and lots of interesting history. Coincidentally, a gentleman named Walter White started this work.
Your
No
uncle?
relation that I know of.
That's why it's a pet peeve.
That's strange. It became a pet peeve before I knew that, actually.
No, it's
Karma
really
or something, I don't know.
Keep down the railroad.
My sister-
So it's a beautiful site, and I know the Public Works and Recreation had got it working from time to time. They've had a really good look at it this morning. It needs some pointing, it has some plumbing issues, but we think we can get it working, and then once we do, then the Lions will take it over. And I don't know if you know the one out near Main Street, but they took over that one and they do the maintenance on that. So we just fill it up and, yeah. So I'm asking for your permission to reallocate out of unspent capital $10,000 to do this work. It includes lining the bottom bowl of the fountain so that it doesn't leak. We tried a solution there that didn't hold, so this would be a permanent solution.
Okay. Questions? Nope. Motion to accept. Councilor Dirksen, Mayor Faulkner, all in favor? Get her done. Get her done.
It's such a nice park.
Okay. Motion to return to regular council.
It is a special.
Or disclose other items, and we have Ron F. first.
Okay, first of all, July 18th is going to be the official kickoff for the IPM 2016 cookbook, and that is going to be held at the Lavender Farm out on 89 Highway. And just encourage, the official ceremony is at 12:30, I believe. Cleese, is that correct? Yeah, okay. And so I encourage everybody to come out. And if you buy a ticket for it, which is $20, that entitles you to a cookbook, one of the very first. And also there's going to be tours of the farm as well. It's going to be a great day.
Tickets?
Cleese has tickets.
Can you wear two hats? I'm in California.
I can wear two hats. Okay. And we're also trying to get the hosting agreement.
Right.
Training done that day too, so it's going to be a busy day.
All right. Is that it?
Yes.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
So is the unveiling at 10 then, or at 12:30?
It's not really the whole event in the building, so you get a gift bag with in it. So it's not really a ceremony. It's just like come and go garden party tea.
Okay, so show up sometime between 10 and 2.
Right.
Perfect.
$20.
And bring $20. Okay, got it.
Does that get you the cookbook too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Lavender Farm on 88.
Nice. I'll get mine before I go.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
I forgot the Celtic quartet, sorry.
Quartet. Oh, very nice.
Well, the 10
All right.
All right. Judy, you have,
I do.
Clearing the throat is going to be a long one.
I can move to Ron Elliott first. You want to get a little bit more.
All right, I'll save the serious one because we're not very serious.
Yeah.
So the North Wellington Healthcare AGM was held on Thursday, June the 18th, and that was at the Mount Forest Library. Terry Fisk and Marion Redpath are new board members. Patty Jo McClellan-Shaw and Bob Becker have retired. They have termed out. And Tom Sullivan was returned as chair, and David Anderson continues as the vice chair. Friday, July 3rd was the annual Hairston Minto Ambassador of the Fair pageant, I should say. The town of Minto sponsored a contestant in both the senior and the junior divisions, and both represented us very well. In the end, Austin Marcoux was crowned as the junior ambassador, and that may be the first young man to do that. I'm not sure. And Jordan Scholten was crowned as the senior ambassador. And the Hairston Minto Fair runs September 18th, 19th, and 20th, and the theme is aprons and overalls. Also, Minto Youth for Christ, they've hired 2 individuals part-time who are both starting in the fall. And I'm sorry, I don't have the names. Minto has been without a youth worker since the departure of Pat Savage, the end of last year. And on a sadder note, Walter Quantz passed away suddenly on Sunday morning in Palmerston. He was a Minto Township councillor and then served as reeve from 83 until 88. He was the warden of Wellington County in 1987. Walter was well known as a man of integrity and commitment and possessed a very strong faith. If you check back through the archives of Minto Township's minutes, you will find that he opened every council meeting with a word of prayer. There is a plaque on Elora Street, the bridge beside Leslie Motors in Hairston, and there's a 1988 quote there by Walter. And it reads, "The residents of Minto Township have a heritage of which they can be justly proud. Accompanying that pride is the feeling of responsibility to future generations to hand down the faith, the religious convictions, the concern for the environment, fresh air, rich soil, stately trees, and pure water, and trust that they will protect them in the days and years to come." And that just really could have been written today. Visitation for Walter is at the Heritage Funeral Home on Wednesday, July 8th from 2 to 4 and 7 to 9, and the funeral service is from the Palmerston Missionary Church at 2 p.m. on Thursday with 1 hour visitation beforehand.
On.
Just a couple things. Party in the park, very successful, even though it rained. Good thing we had planning to go inside because we immediately went inside. We made the call in the morning. Over 300 people there. I want to thank Bill and George and Gord and for attending. And I think it was a great show. The bands are phenomenal. Probably going to use some of them at the flying match.
Excellent.
Going to give a different look to the flying match, but they were well done, and the people all enjoyed it. And I believe if we had been outside, we probably could have had another 150 people there. It was just well marketed, and I can't say enough for the committee that and the group and the Lions Club and the Oregon people that put that on. And then money is going to come. We haven't finalized the total money yet, but what was coming back, but half of it goes to the Oregon, of course, and they're going to use that for different things that they want involved in. And of course, the Lions are going to put it back into their projects that they do, and part of that is the Lions building that town owned, that the Lions Club used. We immediately got it pretty well gutted. I think that we got through and we haven't found too many serious problems. In fact, quite often you get into something and isn't. But man, oh man, people knew how to build in those days. You try and rip the boards off, and some of the nails are that long. A lot of work, a lot of cuts, a lot of slivers, but we managed a whole tandem full of stuff from inside. It's going to be really nice when we're done. When we got the sidewalk finished at the front. I don't know whether you saw it built or not. Things are starting to form there, so we'll be getting that building in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. I have just a couple of little comments. One, Judy did she didn't say how good a job she did as MC at the event. She does it every year, and she does a great job. And she came dressed in coveralls, which I thought was kind of
overalls.
Neat. Overalls.
I was corrected.
Sorry, your overalls, coveralls. Yeah, there was a bit of a thing on that, wasn't it?
I know. I was calling them coveralls, but I was told they're
overalls. Sorry, they're overalls, and
everything.
And again, the kids were great. We've got great youth in our community, and it's always a pleasure to be at that event. And although I'm walking down my junior ambassador, she's taller than me. Because she had the high heels on. I thought, my goodness. Anyways, but I'm getting shorter or whatever. Kids are getting bigger. So yeah, it's just great. And one of the things I just want to bring up is that the community gardens, if you get a chance, they're all full up. I think we had one left over, and the food bank's doing that one. And if you get up to Clifford, it's all full up there. And had a great truck show on Clifford on the weekend. I was able to go up and 290 trucks, yeah, 290 trucks up there, and the Clifford Park was amazing. The truck club that does it does an amazing job, and they really, Al said that he was worried because they moved in and it was kind of wet, and there was some ruts, and next thing you know, they're unloading a roller, and they were rolling the ruts away, and I know it'll be in good shape when they leave. They're a very responsible group. The community really supports it. The Rotary Club did 250 breakfasts in the Saturday morning and 250 on Sunday morning, and they couldn't keep up to the burgers and hot dogs and French fries all day. I think there was over 2,000 people coming in to visit them. I don't know where they're going to put any more trucks. It was interesting. There was a 1909 International truck, and you would have swore it was I was waiting for the guy to hook up the horses, because all it was a buggy. It had two horsepower motors on the both wheels. And I said to the guy, he's sitting in it, and it runs. And I said, so what's your top speed? He said, if I don't get a headwind, I can get her up to 17. Miles an hour. Yeah, not kilometers. Miles an hour. That's big stuff.
That's good speed.
Yeah, and it was quite interesting. And they had all international. And that brought a lot of memories back. My grandpa's was an international dealer, and to see all that stuff. And we had some local guys up there. So that was just great. And it just, every time you get to go out to these things, and I know all the council guys gets out to them as much as possible, you just see how the community gets together and puts things together. Oh, they had a big fish fry that same weekend, and United Church put on, and they were just oversold again. And
You're the food king.
I'm the food.
Bash, bash.
All right, the food king, yeah.
Oh, could I add to that, Mayor Bridge? I was speaking to the Martins who have, I think, Wicked Sticks, I guess it's called, at Clifford, and they said they never had such a fruitful or weekend in respect to, with all the trucks, people coming for there. They also stopped in there and ate. So that just tells you hosting these events is very good for our economy.
Yep. So it's all good. And other than that, I don't have anything else. Unless everybody, have you already thought of anything, anybody? No good? All right. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Turton. The Committee of the Whole convenes the regular council meeting. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott. The Council of Town of Minto ratifies the motion made in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Carried.
You have to get them to vote.
I got them to vote. They voted.
Okay.
They're just
Gotta be quick.
moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councillor Caldwell, that bylaw number 2015-59 to authorize the mayor and CEO clerk to sign all documents related to land trade with Josh and Peter Harrison be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed on to Council Seal the Seal Corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Anderson, the bylaw number 2015-60 to amend the fees and charges bylaw to apply metered rates for the use of water and sewer be introduced and read first, second, and third time and passed on to Council Seal the Corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Dirksen, the bylaw number 2015-61 authorizing the mayor and CEO clerk to sign all documents related to the right of first refusal agreement with J.W. Bowman be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed on open council and seal the corporation. All in favor?
Mayor Bridge, before you vote, I'm sorry. We had a discussion about this in closed session, you'll recall, and then it came to open session. And between Belinda and I, we forgot to confirm with you that you did not want to give first right of refusal on the triangle of lands and the rail lands that formed that commercial parcel. And we're going to amend the agreement to take that out. If you read the agreement really closely, you actually see that piece is in there. So
we did decide we didn't want to do that.
That's right.
Is everybody clear now?
Yep.
Comfortable? All in favor? Carried. Okay. That's fine. Good clarification.
How to pick that up, Bill.
Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Turton, the bylaw number 2015-62 to appoint Stacy Pennington as building inspector for the town of Minto be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed in open council and seal the corporation.
I don't know.
All in favor?
Well, just clarification on the title. Would she be assistant building inspector? Because oh no, Terry's the chief building inspector. Yep.
Chief building
In favor.
official.
Yeah.
In favor.
All right.
Not a building inspector, he's a CBO.
Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, that the bylaw number 2015-63 authorizing the mayor and CEO clerk to execute the agreement of purchase and sale with Albert James Gibson be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed in open council and seal the corporation. Everybody remember that one?
Yep.
All in favor?
Brickyard.
Yep, the brickyard.
The old brick.
The old
That's
brickyard.
right.
Well, it's not a brickyard.
One of
Forgot
many.
that.
Many brickyards we had.
A lot of brickyards back there.
Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Caldwell, bylaw number 2015-64 to amend parking bylaw 5000-05 be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed open council and seal the corporation. All in favor? Okay. Ta-da. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councillor Elliott, the bylaw number 2015-65 to confirm the proceedings of the July 7th, 2015 committee council meeting be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed open council and seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Anderson. The Council of Town of Minto adjourned to meet again at the call of the mayor. Favor? Thank you. Good meeting, everybody. Thanks very much.
Great meeting.